Welcome, good people, to the Results or Excuses podcast. I'm your host, A.G. Goldsmith, and our guest today is fitting. She is an eclectic visionary. Kenya Dunn is her name, and she is a woman in power, and she has created a platform to empower countless others. Now, Kenya's worked nearly 20 years successfully soaring through the corporate ladder, and has proceeded to charting a new path of service to use her knowledge, her resources, her reach to greatly bridge the gaps that exist to people of color, now especially women. Her generosity has empowered so many and continues to do so, and we are beyond grateful to have her here on the Results or Excuses podcast. Kenya Dunn, you are welcome.
Hello there, AG. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. I definitely appreciate you coming by, man. Finally, we got rescheduled last week.
Yeah.
You finally here.
I'm here.
And you are here after the Georgia Bulldog National Championship.
I'm here as a Georgia Bulldog national champion. That's
You know what? Clemson Tigers will be there next year, one way or another. I don't know how we're going to do it. But definitely, man. What's been going on?
Life. Kids, or I don't have kids anymore. They're young adults.
Yeah, you got young adults.
I do. Two college students and who were eager to get back to school. They had extended breaks because of Omicron and COVID, so they had to stay home a little bit longer than they wanted to. So they're all back at school. They're happy. I'm happy. All is well, and just back to business.
The grind don't stop, do it?
The grind never stops.
Good deal. So, there's a lot of information about you as far as on social media and, via web. But for most of our listeners out there, they don't know a whole lot about you. Tell me a little about Kenya Dunn and then lead up to your business, the Power Tribe.
Okay. All right. Well, so I am Kenya Dunn, and it's an honor to be here. I will tell you that I am from Augusta, Georgia. I've been in the Charleston area 15 years. And what brought me here is a career opportunity. I used to work for T-Mobile. I used to work in T-Mobile, and they asked me to move here when T-Mobile bought Suncom Wireless. So that was in 2007-ish time frame. And so I relocated my family. We moved here for a career opportunity. It was not my first time moving for a career opportunity, but it was my first time moving my whole family for a career opportunity that I had no idea how it was going to work out. So fast forward, had a really wild career ride after I said yes to the opportunity here. It took me from here to Atlanta, Georgia, to Chicago, Illinois, and throughout the Midwest. And then right before COVID, so I always say some people had a COVID baby. I had COVID business. And right as COVID was hitting, I stepped away from corporate America and decided to start my own business. I wanted to create a platform to really fight for equity for all women, but in particular women of color. And so that's how I got here. Most of my business, I do consulting. So the name of my company is PFW Consulting. Yeah. And what I do is I help companies prepare for growth in the future in 3 ways. I help companies, they do leadership and team development, culture transformation, and then also develop transformative strategic business practices and plans.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But it all works together. So I'm a person who believes in cycles. And I think that in life, you either have a vicious cycle or a virtuous cycle.
Okay.
And so I try to build my business around a virtuous cycle of allowing companies or helping companies to really leverage their most important asset, which is human capital. So what's your identity? What's going to be the strategy? How do you prepare your leadership and your teams? Okay. And how does that transform your culture?
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start now. You've given me a mouthful. And, but I'm going to say this, some of the things you have witnessed in your time, what has given you the passion for supporting people of color?
Wow. So what gave me the passion was really simple. It was a little bit of what I didn't have as I was charting my own career, and a lot of what I did have. And so what I mean by that is I had three women in particular who literally looked at me and said, you're her, and we're going to get you up the corporate ladder. Two African-American women and one white woman, and they literally locked arms around me and helped me to chart and move my career up the ranks very, very fast. And so they told me what to say. They told me what not to say. They got me into rooms. They were my sponsors and they were my sounding boards. But what I did not have until I met those women, I never had that. So I was kind of out trying to figure out, how do I get in rooms and how do I prepare my career all by myself? And so my inspiration is so that as people do want to chart their careers, their courses in life, their businesses, is to help cultivate that. And so the Power Tribe is what we were talking about before. That's really the platform that I've created. It's a community, a fee-based community for women, for all women, but women of color in particular, to come together. And I always say that I'm a creator. And so the creator in me is creating an environment to nurture the creator in other women so that they can stand in their power. They can walk into whatever room.
You bring out the best of them.
Bring out the best of them and prepare them to really stand on their own.
That's powerful. You talked about the people that help cultivate you and help, position you to be in the leadership position that you're in today. And I talked about that a little bit as far as in the previous episode, how important it is, because we don't do it by ourselves.
That's right. No way.
And having certain people in there from a mentor standpoint, from a support system standpoint, these are very, very important for anybody. And it sounded like what you did is you surrounded yourself around the right people.
I did.
It's not just about, your girlfriends all the time.
Yeah.
And, even when I'm talking to my boy, who's 15 years of age right now, it's hard for him to understand, putting yourself around people that's going to help you. And right now we're talking about studies.
Yeah.
Getting to the next level. Putting yourself in position around people that are going to have a different environment versus just, your homeboys that want to play ball all the time type deal. And I can certainly understand that because I definitely was 15 before.
Yeah, we all were, right? We all were.
For sure.
I always recommend, it's an old book. And if any one of your viewers have ever heard me talk before, I talk about this book, but it's called Vital Friends. And the man who wrote it years ago, he used to write for the Gallup, right? All the Gallup polls.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he did this research, kind of the Gallup poll way, to interview thousands of highly successful people and the types of people that they had surrounded themselves with. And what he found was that you can't depend on one person to be all of these things to you. So there are 7 vital friends or vital roles in another way of saying it, but he named the book Vital Friends. But he's basically talking about 7 different roles and types of people that you need in your life, right? So you need like the cheerleader friend, right? So that's a vital role because when you don't think that things are going to work out, your cheerleader friend will be like, yes, you can, AG. You can do it, right? You need that sometimes, right?
Absolutely.
And then you need that friend that we've coined the term sponsor now. It wasn't called that back then, but you need that person that's just going to go in the room and bring your name in the room. Hey, I know Kenya. She could be this. Nobody else knows Kenya, but because you said it, they want to meet Kenya.
Right.
And so the
endorsement.
The endorsement, the sponsorship, the yes, I'm going to put my name, my reputational capital on the line for this person. And so Vital Friends is really about, you have to surround yourself with the right people. And then I like to say I move through life with a strategy. I build my business with a strategy. I chart my success via a strategy, and your connections have to be strategic. Based on what your goals are, who do you need to be in your corner and who do you need to build relationships with?
So you're particular about who comes into your circle.
I am particular, but I'm not picky.
Okay. Which basically means you would give almost anybody an opportunity and see how that goes.
Absolutely.
Fair enough.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. I think you talked a little bit about as far as my next question. I wanted to know a little bit about your experience in the corporate world and running and now. Yeah, I like it. Okay. And now running a business that's still fairly new, but you off to a good start. And I must say, and I didn't say at the beginning of the interview here, the podcast. I've talked to quite a bit of people that know you. And one thing's been consistent is the authentic person you are.
Yeah.
And that comes across, when I talk to you. And I do remember even the first time I had conversation with you, I think it was at church, maybe choir practice, and I said something along those lines, and you were very inviting, as far as the conversation wise. Wasn't standoffish or anything like that. So that kind of stood out to me. I think you've been pretty consistent as well, how you treat people. So regardless on different levels, I can see you being that particular person. But what has been your experience in the corporate world versus running your business now? Because in the corporate world, it's been pretty structured, right? You kind of had to fill in a role, and now you got to fulfill multiple roles, and I'd imagine there's some systems that you have to have in place, but you got to kind of figure it out.
You do. And I did an interview probably about 3 or 4 months ago. It was a Zoom podcast. And I was asked the question of, so what did you do your first year? And I said, you want to know the truth? Or like, what do you want me to say? Yeah. And she said, I want to know the truth. I figured some shit out. Okay? That's what you do in the first year, right? Yeah. I was figuring it out. But what I will say now in reflection is that the difference between corporate America and what I'm doing now is I get to create everything that I want now. And so that's exciting for me. It could be stressful.
Right.
It could be daunting. It could be, cloudy on some days, sunshine on others. But the good news, the exciting news is that I get to create the life I want. I get to create the business that I want. Everything down to how many hours am I going to spend in my business versus on my business? What type of clients I'm going to work with, the type of services I'm going to offer, the type of customers that I'm seeking. Like I literally get to create and do what I want. In corporate America, you're right, I fit a role. I had to play a role, but one thing about my personality that's been consistent, that was valuable in corporate America and that's valuable now, is that what I am is unafraid to be me. And I'm always consistently who I am because I'm married to me before anybody else. And so I got to look at me, I got to sleep with me, I got to eat with me.
It's hard to be somebody else, isn't it?
It is hard and I'm not interested. And that pays amazing dividends now, just like it did in corporate America. And I think that's where the authenticity that you're referring to comes from, is that I'm genuinely just me. I can't be anyone else. I don't want to be anyone else. And if you need me to be someone else, you need someone else.
Right. And that's one thing I learned because, I think I went through a particular period, even with the podcast. I mean, you look at certain anchors, you look at certain podcasts, and you want to be that particular person behind the microphone, but I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I'm a country guy. I don't know if I speak very articulate, I can. But, I need to be me. I need for people to resonate with me, the true A.G. Goldsmith, and I'm comfortable with that. And I think certain times you think people judge you and you need to be somebody else. And it's something I think I battle with over time, from time to time. But, that's a good point.
We all do.
We all do because we want to be, I guess, considered,
we want to be accepted.
Accepted, this intellectual or this, and all that's good. Do you think your platforms such as yours can truly be realized in society for true equity? How do you feel as far as what you do and the significance of what you do is going to be perceived in society? Because just another small business, people might look at, you're making a little difference in your community wise. What do you want to happen?
That's a loaded question. I had a couple of ways to answer that.
It's loaded, but I want all the answers.
I had a couple of ways to answer that. And I want to start with the word you use, platform. And so my platform and where my work really comes to life is between my consulting company and the Power Tribe. So in my consulting company, when I say transformative business strategies, a part of that most of my clients are coming to me is for diversity, equity, and inclusion work. So I get a lot of clients who want me to help them develop diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy. How do they create more equitable opportunities for their employees and their customers? And then the other platform is through the Power Tribe. And the Power Tribe, again, is designed for all women, but in particular women of color, to come and be nurtured. But not just nurturing, but the women of the Power Tribe, we agree to be each other's sponsors too. So if there's an opportunity that comes up that I hear about or another member of the Power Tribe hears about, and we know that there's someone within the tribe who's interested or expressed interest, we make sure we pull them in. We make sure that we provide tools, resources, training to prepare you so that when you walk in, you've earned that moment and that you can be in that moment. And so when you talk about my platforms and equity, I think it's the way that it's being realized in the corporate world is I get to use what I'm good at. And what I'm really, really good at is I am good at my influence, using authority and influence to create buy-in. And so I walk into corporations and I have really tough conversations with organizations about the starting point of where they are. And I am also very unafraid to create healthy tension. And so I'm okay with that.
Oh man, it can get some uncomfortable situations.
If you're not uncomfortable, you're really not changing. You're really not transforming anything.
I can see them looking at you like, who is this?
They do, and they say it. And they're looking at me, and I was like, I know. Go keep that question going. It's okay. I'm still here. And so through that, I've been able to help. And I'll use the Charleston Metro Chamber of Commerce as a great example. So I've been working with them for the last 2 years to develop a diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy. And what we just announced, or what we just kicked off last week, what's today? Yeah, last week. It's Sunday. Last week is the first cohort of a minority business accelerator. 15 minority-owned businesses right here in the Low Country are going through a year-long accelerator to help get their business to the next level, whatever that means, scaling, increased revenues, access, contracts. The chamber has really leaned into tying in even some of their advocacy policy, government relations around things like equity in housing, equity in, so when you ask me what kind of impact, that's the impact that my business is making. From the Power Tribe standpoint, I've helped 4 of the Power Tribe members either get new positions that are earning higher wages and contracts into their new businesses where they have multi-year contracts.
I knew there was some women rights up in there.
Yeah. Multi-year contracts. And then yes, we do advocate on behalf of our rights as women, right? When you talk about everything from control over our bodies. I have a 19-year-old daughter who will be 20 this year. And she's my inspiration for a lot of the advocacy work that I do for women, because for one, I don't want her to have to go through this, the things that I have to go through. And for two, I'm trying to keep up with her because she's an advocate.
You're trying to keep up with her.
I'm trying to keep up with her. I raised her well, so well that she's making me run. But that's so I think that it's happening, and equity will happen. And I feel like my reach is so much further than just a small piece of our community. When I connect myself to large organizations like the Charleston Metro Chamber, that was with intention, because it's one of the most powerful organizations in this region. And so who I'm choosing to connect to and work with really is so that I can have further reach and further influence, and more people can be affected and impacted by the work. And then I'm also doing work on the continent. You know, I do business coaching with an organization, and I do business coaching for women in Nairobi, Kenya.
We got to slow you down a little bit, man.
I'm loving it. I'm not even working.
That's it. And that's what it's about right there, man. I mean, you're definitely comfortable in your role.
I am.
And I see that. And you're yourself, you're authentic. What do you do? What's a fair metric of success? I mean, what do you do to pat yourself on the back as far as wins wise. And I can kind of see a few things that you do. But, you pat yourself on the back and just say, hey, Kenya, that was good. That was big.
Yeah.
I mean, this is some girl night out type deal,
So I believe so I have a system. I believe that systems, right? Your outcomes are tied to the systems that you have in place, and systems mean how often you do something, what the goals are. So goals. I set goals.
Yeah.
And sometimes my goals are something as small as don't load your schedule this week. Say no to some people. And,
Thank you for not saying no.
Right. I was not going to say no to you.
Okay.
Or they can be as big as a revenue goal, right? And so, for example, one of my goals for 2022 was to get 15 paid speaking engagements before summer. And right now, and so I kind of, if I get 2 and then 3 and then, do that number, well, I have 7 already. And
Nice.
like that was a pat on the back because I put systems in place and I see that my process and my systems are working. So I take time to really check off the goals that I set. I track them. And I don't stress over them. I think that's so important when you set goals to not stress over them because life happens.
It does.
And so you have to give grace to yourself that everything isn't always going to work on your timing. And life isn't about perfection. Life is about delivering in excellence and not being too attached to the outcome and enjoying the experience. And that's how I see it.
You do. I mean, it's hard to do that because life sometimes takes you over and it consumes us, with different things going on. One thing as far as I really, really appreciate the fact that, because I just remember you operating as far as in your role in the corporate ladder. And, when I heard that you was making a shift into, doing your own thing, it's always been a struggle for me, because you're comfortable. And I want to talk about that a little bit because a lot of our listeners out there are 9-to-5 people.
Yeah.
We got life going on. I mean, we got responsibilities, but we also have passions to do other things outside of 9-to-5. And we try to use our 9-to-5 a lot of times to support our side hustles.
Yeah.
And our dreams. But what would you say to that particular 9-to-5 worker? What would be the right time for them to transition out? Because, most of our listeners, like I say, they feel sometimes that they're stuck, but this life is short.
Yeah.
But we can't make any rash decisions either because, the babies got to eat.
That's exactly
The bills have to be paid, So at certain times, I would imagine that you was, it was well thought out for you, to transition out of, your roles and so forth. I mean, I just want you to.
Yeah. So I've been asked that question a lot and I have to always start here, right? So as a regional vice president, I was a senior executive in a company, which comes with a healthy compensation.
Yes.
And so I was able to I had enough money.
Yes.
To move when I moved.
Yes.
So what I
She
always.
just didn't do it. I'm sorry. She just didn't do it when she just started a job.
No.
She positioned herself.
I did.
And was at a position of strength.
And so that's what I tell people is just 2 things. One, timing is everything. Preparation is as well. And so prepare for your exit strategy, right? So and get specific. Get into the details. It is one of the things that a mentor told me was to get into the details. Don't be afraid to get into the details. And what do I mean by that is what amount of money do you need to have coming in order to be comfortable that you're not scared and running back to your 9-to-5?
That's it.
How much money do you need to have saved as a nest egg, if you will, so that fear does not become the crutch or the crippling part of you pursuing your dreams. And so have a plan. And then I think a part of the plan has to be 2 things: shifting your expectations of what you need. So what I did was, because it was a huge, although I had financially fine, it still was a big shift for my family. And so we had to have a conversation about needs and wants because we had everything we needed and everything we wanted. And when you start to say that I am going to step out and do something that that I got to earn and build up to, then a lot of your wants, you got to go back and ask yourself, so do I still want them? And does that want supersede the goal or the desire or the passion that I have? And you may need to take some of those wants off your list.
Right.
And then the other thing is timing of what's happening in your life. And so for me, one of the things that was happening in my life is that my children were preparing to go off into college. And so I was already at a place, college is taken care of, and I no longer have little children that I got to be worried about, right? They would be out of the house. I don't have to worry about them. And so I think you have to look at the cycles of what your life is going through as well. So that was good timing for me because I wouldn't have, and I did the same thing in my career. When I said yes to things, I considered where my children were and the baseline of what they may need from me before I said yes to an opportunity. I moved to Charleston because they were young enough that they could transition and wouldn't be like, oh, I don't want to leave my friends. They were small enough. But then when I got the opportunity in Chicago, I didn't move them because they were old enough that they were like, we don't want to move.
Exactly.
And so just, I would say the preparation, the needs, the wants, and then looking at the timing of the cycle. So having a plan, don't be afraid to delay, right? I want to leave today, but when I look at my plan, I can't leave today. It's going to be another year before I leave. That's okay.
Right.
The worst thing you can do is jump out there and have no contingency and end up crawling back and never fulfilling your passion.
That's it. Don't make any rash decisions, basically.
Yeah.
Let it be well thought out and leave in a position of strength, especially financially, because
especially
catches up with you
especially
real fast. So final question, really. We're here at the end of the podcast here, and we try to inspire our guests to proceed and move forward with their visions and so forth. And there's three things I want you to answer. Actually, one thing, but I want you to elaborate on 3 times in your life or career when excuses could have been valid, but you still chose to move forward regardless. And then that positive momentum yielded positive results. So, there were times in your life to where you say, hey, I got a valid excuse. People are going to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I'm not going to worry about these excuses. I'm going to move forward. And then it yielded some positive results for you.
Yeah.
Because everybody faces that.
They do. And it's funny, when we were talking before, I said, I don't know if I'm going to come up with 2. I got 3. The first one I'll tell you is my move here to Charleston. So imagine coming from a very traditional family environment and taking, like, my kids every Friday spent time with their granddad, right? He picked them up from school, he took them to Chuck E. Cheese, all the grandparents, they tossed them around. So this whole idea that you're going to take them away was not a thing. Like, that was not at all. And so it really weighed heavy on me to, like, is this really a right time? Because although I'm moving there for a career opportunity, other opportunities will come as they get older. It's not a big deal, right? You can wait.
Right.
And so had I decided, and even at the job, when I was talking to the company who made me, the company when they were making me the offer, even they understood. They're like, you have small kids and it may not be a good time. So all the chips, everything around me was saying, if you don't do this, it's not going to hurt anything. So everybody will understand.
Right.
But I decided that I was going to take this opportunity no matter what. And the reason I was going to take it is because it was an opportunity that I had no experience in, and I'd never been given such an opportunity before. So for me, I knew that there had to be something bigger on the other side because I never done it before. I wasn't necessarily qualified for it, and the door was open, and so I certainly wasn't going to walk through.
Those are the opportunities you got.
Those are the opportunities.
You weren't qualified for?
Yeah, I was like, well, I don't know how this came, but I know one thing for sure is I'm smart, I'm capable, I'll get it, and I'll win. And so I moved, and my career journey is a testament to the positive results.
Okay.
Right? The second was, can I make provisions in my life to be able to keep what's important to me intact, which was what was important to me was that my children's lives weren't disrupted again. Because remember, I had disrupted them when I moved here.
Right.
So I didn't want to disrupt their lives again. So can I work this thing out? And so, I sat down and I talked to Ken, and it was like, Atlanta's like 4.5 hours away. I could do the commute thing. Like, we just mapped it all out where, no, we didn't have to move. I just got an apartment in Atlanta and I moved and I took a chance. And a part of the organization I had never worked in before, a part of the organization that I didn't even know much about.
Were you scared?
I was terrified. But when I get afraid, what I have learned to do is lean on what I do well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I leaned into what I knew well until I could catch up with what I didn't know. And so what happened was I went to retail and I said, I'm going to go over there for about 2 years. And then I'm going to come back to customer service. And then I'm sure I'll be promoted. But what happened was in 5 months of me being in retail, I got promoted. Because within my first quarter, I broke records. I broke history of that market. Not even really fully knowing.
Positive momentum yielded positive results.
Absolutely.
After she made a decision to move forward.
I got one more for you.
Let's go.
So my third one was actually Powerfield, my conference.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
The first one was last year, right?
2019.
2019 is the first one, okay.
So I was running a huge geography, running the entire north central U.S., 14 states, on planes all the time, all these people, all these retail locations.
Yes.
And then I get literally this divine inspiration to do a conference, a women's conference in Charleston. I was like, who has time to do that?
Where does this come from?
Like, literally, I was in meditation.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, God, hold on. Like, you know better than I do. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. Like, I'm busy, I'm traveling, I'm this, I'm that. And to make a long story short, I was very not interested because I felt like I was creating that platform inside T-Mobile. I already was. I was meeting the needs of women, all women inside the organization. There are countless women who have been promoted, who have gotten opportunities because of me. I even got recognition from the CEO for it. So I'm like, I'm already doing this. Like, I don't really have to do that. I don't have time for that.
Right.
But again, I acquiesced and I said, all right, I'll do it one time. In 2019, because you said, all right, I'll do it one time.
One time.
And I did it in 2019. And I remember 2 weeks before the conference, I got terrified. Like, I had all the speakers, tickets were sold, everything. And I was just terrified. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I was all making all of this up. That was not God. Like, I was making it all up in my head. I should just give everybody their money back and just cancel this thing. And literally I heard God say, if you do it, I'm going to blow your mind. And so I didn't. And within 5 months of planning, 200 women in a room, and I've never looked back. This conference is changing lives. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, on LinkedIn, a woman who had come into town from New York to attend the conference, she announced that she just got promoted to a vice president role at a company. And so I said, congratulations. And she said, I just want you to know that it all started 2019 at Howardfield.
There you go. There you go.
So that's positive momentum for me.
That's 3 excellent examples.
Yes.
And, the confidence, the stepping out of your comfort zone, making a decision when it's uncomfortable. I mean, it's all about that. And that's, the main thing that I get from you, just making powerful moves, just stepping out of your comfort zone.
And if I can add one thing that I always tell people is to normalize the feeling of discomfort.
Yes.
We have to do that. You have to normalize the feeling of discomfort. Happy is an emotion and a feeling. Sad is an emotion and a feeling. Joy is an emotion and a feeling. So is discomfort. So why do we treat it as it's so foreign when we're feeling feelings all the time? And sometimes it's our discomfort that stifles us.
It does.
It stifles us because of the way we process the discomfort, because of the way we see the discomfort. We take it as a sign of, I'm terrified and I gotta stop.
It's part of progression. I mean,
it is a part of progression.
We have to do that. I mean, it's definitely great stuff. I will be speaking on the Powerfield men's conference when she has that, in the future. So, stay tuned for that. Absolutely, man. We wrapping up here, but tell people how they can reach you as far as, the website, socials, all that good stuff.
So on social media, I am Kenya Dunn 12 on Instagram. You can also follow us on our Power Tribe community on Instagram as well. So it's at Power Tribe Community. I am Kenya Dunn 12 on Twitter. I am Kenya S. Dunn on both Facebook and on LinkedIn. So I'd love to connect with you all. Check out our website. It's www.powertribecommunity.com. And we love to welcome more women into the tribe at any moment in time.
Absolutely. Please connect.
Yes.
She is the real deal for sure. Once again, welcome everybody. We appreciate you. We are at the end of this particular podcast. Kenya Dunn has gave us some helpful information. Entrepreneurship. The downfalls and the upfalls, the good and the bad. Thank you so much, Kenya.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Till next time, we're out.